compelled speech, which was subsequently overturned on appeal. Should very much specify that, which goes to show you how activist it was in the first place. A disturbance. I'd love to know what that disturbance was at a Shoppers Drug Mart. When bouncy castles and hot tubs is an insurrection and an occupation to overthrow the government, I'd love to know what a disturbance at a Shoppers Drug Mart was. I presume, I have no idea. I imagine it could have been refusing to wear a mask while he goes in. And by the way, from what I understand, the public health measures that he was accused of having violated, which brought him back to jail, have since been rescinded by the province, unless I'm mistaken. Yada, yada, yada. The prosecutor, appearing on behalf of his colleagues, who cares, said the Crown was consenting to Pawlowski's release on similar conditions imposed on the minister last week on charges related to the Coutts border blockade. Wow, they're just really, really going after this guy, because you have freedom of speech in Canada unless you say things the government doesn't like you saying. Pawlowski was ordered to post an additional $5,000 after Justice Galen Kendall said he could be freed on allegations he incited protesters to maintain the blockade during February 3 speech to protesters with conditions that he put up a cash deposit of $25,000. I would invite everyone out there to go see what the terms of release were of other criminals. I think the dude who ran over 4 people in Winnipeg, I think he posted a lot of money. I think. He incited protesters to maintain the blockade. This could be as egregious as you get out there and it doesn't matter what the police are saying, break the law, or it could be as simple as hold the line, which people have been interpreting to be incitements to commit mischief. Daniel also ordered Pawlowski's wife and adult son to provide sureties of $10,000 and $2,000 each, doubling the amounts Kendall said they would have to put at risk to gain his release. And by the way, it's going to be like $20,000 and $40,000 and $24,000 from the wife and son. And if Pawlowski is found to have breached his terms of release again, that's forfeited to the Crown. If Pawlowski breaches his conditions, which include nightly curfew of 7 to 7, with exceptions that include street church services, and that he may not attend any protests, they could be on the hook for $20,000 and $4,000 respectively. Oh, but by the way, he should be happy. He should say, "I love you, big brother. Thank you for giving me my freedom back. This is my freedom." Massive financial risk to abusive accusations of violating the terms of the release. Curfew 12 hours a day. But I love you, big brother. Thank you for letting me go out and conduct church, because that would be a bridge too far as conditions go. Last Friday, Kendall overturned a decision by Lethbridge Provincial Court detaining the minister pending trial on charges relating to Pawlowski's February 3 speech. I'd like to hear that speech. I'd like to hear if it contains anything that I, as an open-minded, fair-minded individual, would think rises to the level of criminality that could ever possibly justify this. Yada, yada, yada. The Crown said that Pawlowski posed an ongoing risk to the public to commit further offenses related to his opposition to COVID-19 public health measures. Imagine, just understand, people, what is being said here. Olson agreed with Crown Prosecutor Stephen Johnson that Pawlowski posed an ongoing risk to the public to commit further offenses related to his opposition of COVID-19 public health. Now, I have been a vocal proponent of this. Criticize, but don't go out there and deliberately break the law, the mandates, even if you think they should be broken, because you run the risk of bringing down the wrath of the entire system on you. Everyone out there that says, Viva, you're a hypocrite. You criticize the measures, but then you're wearing a face mask. You're ugly, your own face on your face mask indoors. You may not like my philosophy. I do not encourage anyone to go break the law, however stupid that law is, because it will only empower the powers that be to do exactly this. Make the most thorough example of you. They'll make a martyr of you to your followers, but they'll make an example of you to everyone else. Oh, a publication ban. Literally, this goes from bad to worse. While there was a publication ban imposed by Kendall at the review before her, which was requested by defense lawyer Sarah Miller. I wonder why. No such application was made before Olson. In that hearing, Johnson showed a video of Pawlowski speaking to protesters near the Coutts International crossing between Alberta and Montana. Oh, this is not from the speech. I have concluded that the Crown's grounds for seeking detention are substantial, and that there is a substantial likelihood that the accused will, if released from custody, continue on offending or interfering with the administration of justice. The accused's patterns of behavior speaks volumes about his willful commission of offenses. Bear in mind what the alleged offenses are and his violations of court and public health orders. His conduct, if proven at trial, has contributed to enormous economic harm to local, provincial, and national economy and substantial community harm to ordinary citizens. They're doing it to protect you people. Anyways, so I guess, justice. Artur Pawlowski has gotten, he's free now. He's free to leave his house from 7 to 7, with the exception of church. He's free to, when he leaves his house from 7 to 7, not attend any protests, have his speech restricted, have his movement. I don't know what the mobility movement, restrictions are, but this is Canada. Can you imagine? No, none of it was proven because these are all accusations. He hasn't had his trial yet. And the irony is that a lot of these charges, although mischief, we've discussed it multiple times, is a not bifurcated, it's a dual type of criminal infraction. You can have summary conviction, which is not serious, and you can have indictable offense, which is more serious. And I have no doubt they're going to go hog wild with as much as they can. The penalty for mischief can be a minimal fine, especially when the mischief consists of, I don't know, encouraging people to protest health measures that they disagree with. Inciting people to commit acts of violence, vandalism, destruction of property. Absolutely not. We're now in a realm where speech is being interpreted to say, hold the line, is inciting people to commit violence against property, because by holding the line, you are promoting people to continue an occupation, which is depriving people of their ability to walk on the street, even if that's the argument. And we've seen from the footage that was never really the case in Ottawa, but that's how language is being abused. By telling people to protest these measures, by telling people to hold the line, this is being interpreted as mischievous conduct, incitement to commit mischief, to tell people to hold the line, maintain a protest, which, as the allegation goes, is resulting in the loss of enjoyment of property. The blockade at the border causing economic harm is a different issue, and it's a different level. In Windsor, the argument was always that there were alternative means to travel. It added time, and when you compare this protest to other protests, on some level, they all have to disrupt to some extent. Otherwise, it's not a protest. The only question is disruption versus actual violence, actual law, actual destruction of property, actual incitement to do those things. I mean, when you get into the realm of words are violence, even when they're not, because we want to say that they are, hold the line is a mischievous affirmation. We're living in a Kafka novel. All right. If you're not blocking something, you're not protesting. Well, compare that to Guilbeault. If you're not illegally scaling something, you're not protesting. Now, true, he did get arrested. I wonder if his treatment was anything like this. Different times, different contexts, different social climates. Yes. Viva, there may be a time when our justice system fails to follow the Constitution. Well, I think we're there now. I think the government has not been respecting the Constitution for years. I was going back to my Twitter feed just to see. Hold on, which video, Light Giver? I want to see which video you're talking about. I was going back to my my Twitter feed to see when in the context of all of this, I began to question. I began to say this doesn't make sense. And to my own credit, it was earlier than I remembered it at the time. I thought I was slower to understand, to determine, to complain about what was going on than I was. I was actually a little bit quick, nowhere near as quick as others. But what I'll say in my defense is that being too quick but right is a question of luck. Taking your time and making sure you've assessed is a question of strategy. I'll say that. But there were people who were smarter, who understood very quickly that what was being done was grotesque overreach, absolutely tyrannical, and arguably effective. And now we're seeing what's going on in China, version 2.0. Actually, let me pull that up. Let me pull that up, because this is where, if you don't learn from history, you don't learn. I just make that up? That's not bad. If I ever say a quote that seems intelligent, someone clip it so that I can remember my own quasi-intelligent thoughts. I'm not sure that I'm going to for indefinitely. Okay, that was Russell Brand. Here we go. Wait a minute, I'm not sharing the screen. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, if you want to share, you actually have to go and hit share. It is under Twitter. It is under this. We shall share it. So now let me explain to you my thought process with this, because I don't view this and accept it unquestioningly. I don't know when this video was taken. I don't know under what context. I don't know what's going on. I don't speak the language. I don't know anything. It could be something totally unrelated to anything. There could have been, well, it couldn't have been, I'm trying to think of like a natural disaster. There could have been a volcano eruption, or there could have been some natural disaster, and they're just trying to make sure everybody goes to the right. I don't know. I don't know the context. I think I can surmise some of the context, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter for the point that I was making, which was that phone. I hate that phone. Hold on 1 second. Okay, someone answered it. I don't know the context. I view that video with the exact same scrutiny, skepticism, lack of coming to a determination, because I don't know the context, as I do every other video. I don't treat it differently because I think it confirms a narrative that I want it to confirm. Full stop. So when I retweet things like that, and I have to make sure that I'm not, making an affirmation about a video that might be totally contextually different than what is being sold as, although Jack Posobiec has been quite consistent. My only observation, set this video aside. Remember back in 2020, when we were seeing all sorts of very, very interesting videos coming out of China. And I say interesting as in shocking, upsetting, over-the-top tyrannical, blow-torching doors shut to lock people in, going down the streets, spraying some mystery substance all over the place. And I remember Ezra Levant at the time saying, "What are you spraying on the streets? What do we?" I remember all of these videos showing the arrests, detainments, whisking people off for whatever the reason, blow torching people in. And I remember at the time we saw this and we're like, this is tyranny. This could never happen in the West. This is shocking. And then lo and behold, 6 months later, we were implementing this policy in the West. Lockdowns, curfews, the face masks. We were implementing this. So with the videos, and then you remember at one point we were seeing videos of people just expiring, to put it diplomatically, expiring on video, expiring during Zoom calls, collapsing on the streets. We saw all of these videos. And then, lo and behold, we started implementing some of the most shocking and tyrannical measures that we saw video of them implementing in China back in the day. So I look at that video and I say, remember 2020? And if this video is the context that we think it is, on the one hand, this is either a sign of, if history repeats itself or if history rhymes. Well, the last time we saw videos of what we thought was tyrannical, over-the-top, unconstitutional violations of human rights out of China, we were implementing those very same measures 6 months later. So there's that. The other thing, see it, get desensitized so that it's less shocking when it's in front of your front door. So
see it, watch it. I'm
yeah,
an idiot.
If I had a nickel for every time I said that about myself. Now I seem to have missed a yellow super chat.
Oh my.
Maybe it's, oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. We got Light Giver. It says live from the shed. Oh, I shared that video. You know what? Hold on. I shared that video everywhere. It was must-watch, powerful tribute to the convoy. Here, hold on. I don't want to play it because it has music in it, and I don't want a copy strike. But
yes. No,
I'm not sure. Am I sharing this?
Please, no copyright strikes. Thank
you. 2 times in one stream. I'm an idiot. Why have I not completed the share function? Add to stream. Here we go. This is the guy from Live from the Shed, David.
To Ottawa was the single greatest grassroots movement in Canadian history,
Oh,
where
my.
every day men, women, and children of every walk of life, every language, every province, every race and religion came together to take a stand for the country that we all love.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because I don't want to problem. And I just accidentally shared my Twitter. Okay, get that out of here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to put the link to the video here. Everyone, go show the video some love. Leave a comment. And if I can do this quickly enough, I'm going to go pin that comment right now. It's a beautiful video. Shh, stop. It's a beautiful, beautiful video, and I'll pin it right here. 15 minutes. It is pinned. It's 15 minutes long. Beautiful music and a beautiful montage. So thank you. Yeah, I saw the video. It's great, and it's depressing. I'm sorry. I you know that I cry often. I try not to cry when people see, because people tend
Nothing wrong with shedding a tear.
what tears mean.
Nothing wrong with that.
But it hurt my heart to watch it, because I'm at a point now where I'm not convinced that the best is yet to come. I said, depending on how the government shuts down that protest, it felt like an all or nothing deal at the time. And it now looks like the government is coming down with an all to make sure it amounts to nothing. Behind my head. Oh, because of these these back. Yeah, look at that. Okay, well, that's better.
Get a haircut, buddy.
So that's it. That was go check it out. But that's what's going on in Canada. See, okay, but and now, by the way, Bushwriter video has had the opposite effect for me. Reminds me the power of the people, and I don't want to be black pill Viva on a Monday morning. It reminded me of that as well. And now watching what's happening to everyone who took part in that, or a lot of the people, or the representatives of that movement, watching what the government is doing it to now, watching the government seize on that exploit of violence that never was, except from the police that they brought in.
Yeah,
seeing what the government is doing with that now, weaponizing it to suppress freedom of speech, to suppress freedom on the internet, to weaponize the judicial system, the prosecutorial system against those involved. They broke up that protest, all right.
It was classical government overreach. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, they broke it up, and now they are,
no doubt about it, folks.
They are making an example of everybody, or the organizers. They're making an example of a handful of people.
But it's far.
And those people may become martyrs to the followers, but they're going to be examples to the rest of Canadians. And my ultimate problem is that a lot of Canadians seem to be, well, they say it's always darkest before the dawn. A lot of Canadians are so oblivious that they actually believe that it's justified. There are still people who genuinely believe that protest was violent, misogynistic, racist, extremist. I wanted to clip some of the interviews that I conducted there, but I don't want to put specific interviewees on blast.
I witnessed it. It was peaceful.
The people I met there.
It was very wonderful.
When I was documenting
Great
that.
protest.
FE_Mar says, hear nothing, see nothing, say nothing equals blind, deaf, and dumb. Free speech for the dumb, the new Canadian bill, and demands this to be will of the land. Orwell's 1984 is a true nightmare. Thus my 2 minutes of... Nope, and people want it. You got to battle misinformation. Can you imagine the audacity of CBC, Global News, W5 talking about the government saying we got to combat misinformation because it's creating an anti-authority sentiment, and then you make up thought crimes out of whole cloth. You make up hate speech out of whole cloth. Honk honk is hate speech.
Listen, folks. You want
just imagine
Rudolf
criminalize
Steiner. That's Rudy Steiner.
Hold the line
karma of
is inciting
untruthfulness.
Mischief. It's
So, if you want to read about
why
something,
don't you give your wife a break and cry on air?
To writing this.
It'll happen one day, maybe not.
Guy by the name
Okay, well,
Rudolf
that's what's going on in
Steiner.
Canada.
He died in
share
or
that
about
video live from the shed. It's beautiful.
1925.
And the song
He
is
was
actually beautiful.
way
It's
ahead
amazing.
of
It's a
himself
15-minute,
with
as far as I can tell,
biodynamics
unedited song that weaves in the
quite a few
national anthem
other
with new lyrics.
factors.
It's
Brilliant
beautiful.
mind.
And a lot of drone
If
footage.
you want to read something, Rudolf
Talking about the
Steiner,
government ruining everything.
The Karma of Untruthfulness.
I don't want to fly a drone anymore.
Beautiful read.
Got to have
That'll
$1 million
open your eyes
life
to looking
insurance.
at
Not life.
things
You got to have $1 million liability
different.
insurance to fly a drone. Okay, what do we want to do now? Do we want to do Elon Musk or Gibson's Bakery?
Oh my.
Hold on, let's just put it to a random poll, and then I reserve the right to not even listen to it.
One,
Gibson's Bakery. Two, no, we're going to do Gibson's because I think people are interested in the Elon Musk.
Freebies?
Oh, sorry, people. Sorry. Damn it. Okay, let's go. Oberlin. Do I do the article? Let's do the article first. So that we're just going to summarize this real quick, and then I'm going to go through some paragraphs. I took notes. Put these over here. Actually, the only reason I want to highlight this: Oberlin College loses appeal against $25 million libel judgment from suit filed by local bakery. Don't care about anything in Hollywood. Get away from me. I like Denzel Washington's quotes. I don't like anything else. Okay, they've upheld the $25 million judgment for business that successfully claimed it was libeled by Oberlin College in the aftermath of a shoplifting incident that roiled the historic liberal arts school and music conservatory campus outside Cleveland. What? Talk about whitewashing the egregiousness of what? Forget that. The only thing I want to go to, we'll get to. Oh, yada yada yada, yada yada yada. The bisque was okay. The three-judge panel also agreed with Lorain County Judge John Moraldi's decision, rejecting Oberlin's college motion for a new trial and denied. They denied the store owner's claim that the damages awarded did not sufficiently punish the school. We'll get to that. The only thing that I wanted to highlight in all of this, right here, people say, "Give me." Oh, they scored a payday. 2 of the members of the Gibson family died because this took so long. Someone dies at 93. That was Alan Gibson. I think blessed is he or she who lives to 93. David Gibson died in 2019 at 65. My father-in-law passed away from cancer at 62. And that's too young. 65 is too young. We should be thankful for every day on earth. But that doesn't, absolutely. I'm not going to lie, that doesn't mean not being resentful for lives cut way too short. And cut way too short, I would just argue that having lived through what Oberlin did to Gibson Bakery, a family-owned business that was bankrupted as a result of what Oberlin did, said, incited others to do, that will put people in an early grave.
That could, yes, absolutely.
Without question. Nobody understands. Everyone thinks litigation is fun. Litigation... What did I just do? I hope I just close down the stream. Litigation is not fun. It's endless stress. But setting aside the litigation part, having your lives, your livelihoods, your reputations, your very integrity. The only thing that you leave behind, sorry, I screwed up my own expression. The only thing that you take with you in this life is what you leave behind. That is your integrity. That is your reputation. And what they did to the Gibson's Bakery, well, let's just see what they did to Gibson's Bakery. Stage 4 at 56, time to fight. And it's first of all, I love that dog in the back. It's the thing of life is that, your life is filled with all sorts of projects, life projects. And then you get news where your new life project becomes a literal existential fight against something that blindsides you. And it becomes now your purpose in life is to fight this. So Godspeed and God bless, Mike. Does everyone know Pee Wee? There was an amazing channel that I was following for the longest time. Pee Wee Tom. Yep. Well, I'll just do this. If anybody doesn't know, Pee Wee Tom's was a young man diagnosed with cancer, and he documented his life and ultimately his death from cancer. Mm-hmm. White pill for Viva. Believe in the triumph of the human spirit. Tyranny cannot win as long as information continues to awaken the people. That's the problem. And what do you have to do to control the free flow of information? Demonize everyone and anyone who disseminates it. So Pee Wee Tom had a channel documenting it. It's tragic. I don't even know why I thought about that. But yes, but that was it. So your other plans of life put on hiatus, and the plan of life for those who are afflicted with any tragedy, it's becomes to fight that, survive that, thrive beyond that. So to say that the stress of litigation is one thing, to the stress of having your life ruined, your reputation ruined, because you can't overestimate the toll that takes on one's health. So let's go here. Let's just go. Gibson's Bakery. This is the judgment. Let me see if we can see this properly. Just going to highlight. It serves for reminder. I can't see I can see the super chats while I do this, actually. Paragraph 8 and 9. So, okay, both parties were appealing the decision. The decision, for those of you who don't recall, jury condemnation, unanimous, guilt. There were monetary damages of, I want to say $11 million, and punitive damages of $33 million, because there was some cap at 3 times the monetary damages for punitive damages. It was reduced from 44 million to 25 million. Yes, that's a lot of money, but you ask any of these people, I'm sure Gibson's Bakery, we just wanted to have the life we had before. $25 million is nice. And to go back to my recurring quote from Good Will Hunting, oh geez, I always forget her name. It has an M in it. Minnie Driver, talking about her, getting an insurance payout from her father's early death, trade it all for another day with him. Okay, the controversy in this case, this is where we are, paragraph 8, people, arose following an incident at the bakery. Remember how USA Today summarily described that? The controversy in this case arose following an incident. What's my problem here? An incident at the bakery on November 9th. Although media coverage may have included other details about the incident, this court is confined to reviewing the record before an appeal. Standard rules, there's no new evidence on an appeal, typically, unless you make a motion to adduce new evidence for compelling and extraordinary reasons. According to testimony admitted at the hearing, 3 African-American Oberlin students, 1 male and 2 female, were in the bakery while young Allen, I think that's the younger one, not the deceased young one, was working. Young Allen later informed the police that he confronted, if that is the Allen that passed away at 65, someone in the chat let me know. Young Allen later informed the police that he confronted the male student because he believed that the student was shoplifting wine and using a fake ID to purchase more alcohol. That male student fled the store, and young Allen chased him across the street to apprehend and detain him for the police to arrive. When a police officer responded to the scene, he observed that 2 female students also became involved in the physical altercation between young Allen and the male student. 1 screen, 2 films. Some people see this as young Allen physically assaulting a young African-American student who did nothing wrong. Others see this as 3-on-1, the people who were shoplifting and allegedly using a fake ID to procure alcohol then proceeded to assault young Allen. The police arrested the 3 students. The students eventually entered guilty pleas and were convicted for their roles in the incident. Then listen to this. And you want to talk about what Oberlin did, the most liberal of liberal schools. And I say liberal doesn't necessarily mean being dishonest, malicious liars, but for Oberlin, apparently that's what it means. Several college administrators testified that rumors about this incident at the bakery quickly reached members of the student body, because many Oberlin students apparently believed that the 3 students had been racially profiled by young Allen. They announced they planned to hold a protest outside the bakery at 11 the following day, and the record does not disclose details about who prepared the flyer. A 1-page flyer was prepared to be distributed during the protest. The flyer urged a boycott of the bakery. Had been there for I think 100 years, if not over 100 years. I think if it's not 100 years, it's a long time without incidents. But the flyer urged a boycott of the bakery, asserting that it was a racist establishment with a long account of racial profiling and discrimination. Emphasis in original. The flyer also gave account of the heinous event involving the owners of the establishment and stated that Allen Gibson had racially profiled the male student, improperly chased him out of the store, and assaulted him. Paragraph 29 is the next one that I had of interest. Oh, this is what was in the flyer. And so, it's not just that Oberlin tolerated this. The Student Senate passed a resolution, which we have in paragraph 30. The Senate resolution was passed by the Student Senate on November 10, 2016. It urged students to cease all support of the bakery and called upon the faculty and administration of the college to condemn the treatment of students of color by Gibson's Food Market and Bakery. Rather than quoting the resolution in its entirety, the court will summarize. Okay. The Senate passes this resolution, which the university, by all accounts, knew was publicly viewable and did nothing to remove it, to correct it, or to quell the animosity, which, by all accounts, was based on misinformation, to put it politely. 57 is what I had here as relevant. This is a much different pace than the car vlog. So you got the Student Senate passing this resolution. You have flyers being handed out, which it's not clear who put them. But Oberlin's role in all of this was not merely that of a passive observer. Shortly after the Gibsons filed the lawsuit, Raimondo, who was the dean, I believe at the time, asked members of the Student Senate to remove the resolution from this. That's over a year, I believe, which they did. A reasonable juror could also infer from the evidence that Raimondo, as the faculty advisor, had the authority and or obligation to instruct the Student Senate to remove the resolution many months earlier. Therefore, they're basically just saying, like, we've seen all the evidence. We don't determine that there was any mistake in all of this. And, Oberlin said that it was called a judgment notwithstanding verdict. They said that, fine, the jury came to a unanimous verdict, but the judge should dismiss that, toss it, set it aside for a number of reasons, because this should have been dismissed on its face, because Oberlin didn't do anything defamatory. Oberlin didn't interfere with business relationship. And the appeals court said, no. Let me take a pause there for 1 second and just see what we've got going on in the chat. Okay, we've got something on C11. All real speech is hate speech. All acceptable speech is pleasantries or rhetoric. Keep speaking. This is the thing. I would say hate speech. There are already laws against hate speech in the actual sense of hate speech. There's laws against threat. There's laws against targeted harassment. There's laws against defamation. So, Tacitus is what it was. More laws, less justice. We got that. So Oberlin tried to appeal it. They say, the judge should have dismissed this, notwithstanding the conviction. The judge should have dismissed this on a motion to dismiss because there was no defamation. To which the Court of Appeal, rightly, in my book, said, no freaking way, but in judicial terms. 63, what did 63 say? Oh, interference with business relationships. Wait, it's not just that Oberlin actively participated in the demonizing, the libel of this bakery. They then went and said to other third parties, stop doing business with Gibson's Bakery. After the jury trial, judgment was granted on behalf of Oberlin, but against Raimondo and the Gibsons' claims for intentional interference with business relationship. Oberlin argued in its motion for judgment notwithstanding verdict that based on the evidence presented at trial, Raimondo also should have been granted judgment on this claim. The torts of interference with business relationships and contracts rightly generally occur when a person without privilege to do so induces or otherwise purposely causes a third person not to enter into or continue a business relationship with another. Now, let me just see where they describe what they did, because it's just atrocious. Here we go. Listen to this, people. Listen. I really suck at highlighting today. Forget it. We're not doing it live. The Gibsons presented several printed text and email messages between senior college administrators to demonstrate that nearly a year after the bakery incident, they did not believe that the college should work with the Gibsons to resolve the situation. Oberlin's witnesses did not dispute that the printed messages had been communicated between the administrators. One text message sent by the interim assistant dean expressed that the criminal conviction of the three students was an egregious process, and that she hoped the college would, quote, rain fire and brimstone on the bakery. Can you imagine this? This is they get robbed or they get shoplifted from. The individuals plead guilty. They probably got a slap on the wrist regardless. This is not shoplifting is not a victimless crime, but there are worse crimes. They get victimized by the shoplifting, and then they get victimized for availing themselves of their rights to the point where Oberlin administrators in private text rain fire and brimstone on the bakery. In response to a published letter from a retired Oberlin professor who criticized Oberlin's response to the college's situation with the Gibsons, Raimondo stated in another text message, F him. I'd say unleash the students if I wasn't convinced this needs to be put behind us. The Gibsons presented other messages that were communicated between senior administrators that also expressed their lack of concern about the past and ongoing damages suffered by the Gibsons. Can you believe that? And they appealed this decision. I mean, God, hold on. Wait until we get to the damages part because it's a lot of money.
44 million
Construing this evidence in favor of the Gibsons, this court cannot conclude that reasonable minds could only conclude that this conduct failed to rise to the level of extreme and outrageous. Therefore, this is a backward sentence. It was extreme and outrageous. A reasonable person could have concluded that. Therefore, the trial did not err in denying the JONV on this basis. Then we get into the punitive damages. Finally, Oberlin argues that the trial court erred in denying its motion for judgment, notwithstanding verdict, in that it should not have been allowed to consider an award of punitive damages in the bifurcation. It's complicated. It's sort of, do we want to get into it? Oberlin alleges that because the jury had already found no actual malice in the liability stage of the trial, it was improper to further consider punitive damages on the libel claim. So here, and it's an interesting thing, we don't really need to get into it, but no malice. First of all, if that's not malice what we just read before, I don't know what is. But what the judge basically came to the conclusion is this was calling someone racist and saying they have a long history of racism is defamation per se. And the court concluded that under the law here, when it's defamation per se, there's a presumption of malice and you don't need to actually prove it. So no go. End of discussion. But let's just get the part which we don't need to read this. This is too technical. And then 88. What was on 88? Oh, well, this is the legal part. Because Oberlin did not request bifurcation, however, after compensatory damages were awarded by the jury, the Gibsons were entitled to proceed to the second stage of trial and put on every evidence they had pertaining to punitive damages for each of their claims: defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and tortious interference with business relationships. Because Oberlin specifically said it to a third party, don't do business with them anymore, and that third party stopped doing business with Oberlin. All right, and then I think we can skip the rest. It's just the facts of this case and the egregious conduct of Oberlin and its employees. It's up to you whether or not you want to forgive it, but it should never be forgotten. Compensatory damages. Oberlin argued that even applying the damages cap, the award is still exorbitant. It argues that there was no witness testimony as to any losses caused by the flyer or resolution. It also argued that any economic loss caused by the alleged hostile environment created by the protest was merely speculative. They went out of business. They had been in business for decades, including the belief that the harm would continue for 30 years. The Gibsons argued that they presented sufficient evidence of their damages, as well as the fact that it flowed from Oberlin's tortious conduct. And they agreed. But 124, where was it? They talk about the percentage of Oberlin's net assets that this related to. Hold on here. Here we go. The Gibsons note that the jury initially awarded them $11 million in compensatory damages and $33 million in punitive. They assert that the jury's punitive damages award represents less than 3% of Oberlin's total assets. Noting that the purpose of punitive damages is to appropriately punish and deter defendants, the Gibsons argue that it purely okay, whatever. They say it only represents 3% of their total assets, so it should make it more so that it's really effective. And the judge said, no, not the law, and it doesn't matter. But can you appreciate, by the way, 3% of Oberlin's total assets? That means that's a substantial portion. 3%. I mean, when Facebook and the other tech giants, Gibson's Bakery is still in business. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to go fact check myself in real time. Hold on, people.
Fact checking in real time, baby.
Gibson's Bakery. I'm looking up bankrupt because I thought they closed. Da da da. 11 million. Hold on. Gibson's Bakery closes. When did they close down during this? Hold on. I will verify that. If it is still in business, there was the issue, but there was the issue of the damages, and they were determining how much that business was worth at the time. Okay, hold on one second. I will correct myself if that is the case because I don't like being wrong. Give me 30 seconds. Oh, they seem to be open, so that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna double check what it is exactly that they closed down, for how long they closed down, because I do believe they closed down at one point. That was part of the damages. Let me see if anybody in the chat who knows better knows. Okay, they may have closed temporarily, but I'm not sure about that. Okay, I'm certain they did because they had no business and they lost their contract. And the issue about damages during the trial was that how do you assess the value of a business that had been around for a century? Okay, well, it was important fact,
years,
but
time.
not determinant to the outcome, which is $25 million damage against Oberlin, which means the donors, the philanthropists, what are they called? The people who support the institution are now paying off the consequences of the most egregious, hateful, malicious, spiteful conduct imaginable. I don't want to use the standard expression. There should be consequences for this. Everyone involved in this should probably trustees. Everyone involved in this people should vote with their dollar. I do know people who announced that they would not support Oberlin through donations because of this, but they're gonna live with the consequences of what they did because it was egregious, and I don't know if it's unforgivable. But it's unforgettable.
They will live with the consequences.
Okay.
That is correct, sir.
Let's just see. I just want to see if anybody knows. Gibson's whiskey is not bad. It's let's just see here. 30 seconds expired. Okay, that's the Gibson's. I don't think it goes anywhere else from. I mean, I don't know that it goes anywhere else from here. Technically, there's always an appeal to the Supreme Court. Not sure what novel questions of law there are here. And bottom line, affirming the jury's findings, there have to be some very egregious mistakes or very, important questions of law. So I don't know. I think it's over here. And congratulations, Oberlin. Everything woke. If it doesn't go broke, it certainly gets 3% of your assets to pay the damages of your actions. All right. Now, with that said, let us go to the news of the day. Why do I not have the story open? I don't have the story open. Elon Musk, Twitter people. Elon Musk buys 9%. Do I want to? No. No. Who do we do here? Let's go here. All garbage. All garbage. News you can trust? No, thank you. Elon Musk snaps up $3 billion in Twitter. It's amazing. Common shares. Common open market voting shares. Let's just read this, and then we're going to just discuss what this means and what it doesn't mean and why it's interesting. Elon Musk has taken a 9.2% stake in Twitter, according to a U.S. securities filing. The news sent to Twitter sent the shares soaring 25% in pre-market trading. Darn it. Darn it. And it doesn't matter. I don't care. Everything I buy, I couldn't buy Twitter regardless because I don't believe in the company. I bought GoPro, and I think I'm still down on GoPro, but it's still in business, which is good. The Tesla founder bought $73 million and change on March 14, according to Securities and Exchange Commission, $2.9 billion. The stake makes him the largest shareholder in the company and is more than 4 times the 2.25% holding of Dorsey, which means that between the two of them, well, they're over 10%, but that's not, it's relevant for voting. We'll get into what it kind of means. And, it goes, here we go. it goes back to his tweets. Is a new platform needed? He tweeted this out. It seems there's a problem with Twitter. What do we do? Cernovich, Tim Pool said, buy it. I think they meant tongue in cheek, or take it over. He bought a 10% shareholding in it. So it's interesting, but what does it mean and what does it not mean? There are little just corporate 101. At least my understanding of Canadian law, I think it's similar in the United States. There's a reason why he didn't buy 10% or more, and that's because I believe it changes his status within the company to an insider, if I'm not mistaken, but holding more than 10% of a publicly traded company subjects you to different rules and regulations. Hold on. Here, SEC. Officers, directors, and shareholders. I think this is it. Beneficial owner. If your company has registered a class of its equity securities under the Exchange Act, shareholders who acquire more than 5% of the outstanding shares of that class must file beneficial ownership. Okay, that's a filing. And then section 16. Who own more than 10%, they must register as insiders. So I think that subjects them to certain regulations that, there may be no how do I get out of here? Oh gosh darn it. Hold on. Close this. There's probably a good reason why Elon doesn't want to be a 10% or more shareholder in the company. We seem to be still be on the old thing there. And then, just like, what does it mean? What does it not mean? Under 10%, not subject to certain regulations, subject to certain filings, which is why people now know about him buying over 5%, I presume. But for anybody who doesn't know, if you own shares in a publicly traded company, every now and again, you get these notices in the mail, shareholder meetings where you can go and make your voice heard as a shareholder in the company. But typically when you own, I don't know, a few shares of an outstanding float, which is the amount of shares that are issued to the public, your voice, most people don't even go to these shareholder meetings because you have, it's fun for the experience, but you won't have an impact, although you get to make your voice heard. Elon is the world's richest troll and man. The whole thing is about the return of Trump. 93 million followers is 93 million interactions in stock market jargon. Let history record this super chat. And I will tweet it at Elon Musk after we're done here. No, but there's a little bit more to it. I think under 10%, he's not a controlling shareholder. There could have been other ways of acquiring an interest in the company that might have given him more of a voice. But just for the corporate side of this, shoot, I thought I just stopped the stream. I'm an idiot. I did. Jeez Louise, Viva.
The return of Trump. The return of Nero.
Do not take yourself out of the stream. What does a shareholder do?
That's what
this is not legal advice, people. It's just the 101, so you can appreciate
Goodbye,
it.
Trump.
Let me make sure we're looking at the same thing here.
You're finished.
We are
no good for anybody.
Minimize. Go back here.
Yourself,
a shareholder,
buddy.
Also known as, this is from UpCouncil.
You will find your way sometime, but this is
like basic 101 level stuff. A shareholder, also known as a stockholder, participates in the management of a company. A shareholder is an individual, institution, or company that owns a share. So preferred dividends, securities, common stock. Elon bought common stock. What does a shareholder do? They participate in the management of the company. Bottom line, they vote in the management. They approve the financials at the end of the year. They have some oversight in the company. They have their say into certain managerial aspects of the company. But when you don't have a controlling interest in the company, you don't get to control who is appointed to the board of directors. You don't get to appoint the officers of the company. You get to vote, but you don't get the controlling vote. If there's no controlling vote, it's sort of democratized. If there's majority shareholders who among all of their minority shareholdings control the vote, that's how you control it. If you want to maintain control over your publicly traded company or your own company, you retain whatever is the controlling interest in whatever jurisdiction you live in, so that everybody else gets to vote on certain issues that are subject to the vote of common shareholders, but you don't get your vote trumped by the majority. So
different classes.
He gets to now have a say. And at just under 10%, he doesn't have a majority say. He doesn't have a controlling say, but he's got a very big say. And then, even more interesting than that, though, some people appreciate this, other people don't, until you get screwed by, a mining company, for example. That however small your shareholding is, minority shareholders, and Elon Musk is a big minority shareholder, you have rights. And you have rights to ensure that the company does not act in a way that, as we say in the industry, oppresses your minority shareholding rights.
That's correct.
So
Oppresses nor
let's just
suppresses.
say, for example, Robert Barnes and I have discussed this with Rumble. They're going public. If a company goes public on certain warranties and representations, if a company makes certain public representations that induces people to invest, those people you're never going to be a majority shareholder in Rumble. You're never going to be a majority shareholder in, I don't know, Twitter. But if Twitter makes public statements that induce people to become shareholders and minority shareholders, and then they go ahead and violate those warranties and representations in a manner that affects the price of the stock, and it might only affect common stock.
Yeah.
If they do that and it impacts the minority shareholder interest by devaluing their stocks, by, violating the warranties and representation that induced the shareholders to acquire the stocks in the first place, you have rights and remedies. Elon Musk, even though he only has a minority shareholder stake, a big one, he's now a minority shareholder in Twitter. And if Twitter behaves itself in a manner that goes against its bylaws, that violates its public statements, that goes against the interests of the minority shareholders, well, Elon Musk has certain rights and recourses as a minority shareholder in this company to take legal action. Twitter is now not beholden to Elon any more than anybody else, but now has to answer to potential shareholder oppression that minority shareholders may argue they are victims of if Twitter does certain things that compromise its share price. One of which might have been booting one of its most popular Twitter people. You imagine, I don't think it's good for the stock. I don't think it's good for the company, despite all of the, won't someone think of the children, to boot Donald Trump from the platform. And if the decision to do that
Donald Trump
affects shareholder price,
well,
people who believe that they have been oppressed by that decision, have had their shareholder rights violated, they have rights and recourses. Most people don't have billions of dollars to initiate oppression remedies. Elon Musk does. So it's a big babysitter that has just bought his way into the company. Tweet that Granny Fro to the world, Viva. I will do it. So it's very interesting. Oh, only 4,000 watching and 1,500 likes. Let me see who's watching on the Rumbles.
Rumble's the format they use to get
live
around
at
the
1:30
censorship.
Ontario time, room 14V, line 14 on docket. What number do I call? ?
You can speak more openly on
people.
Rumble
This might
about
turn into another
controversial topics.
I need to get an earbud for my phone because I can't do it without an
YouTube,
earbud.
Twitter, and various other.
We'll see if I can get in on
channels.
the Pat King hearing. I'm just going to listen to it and live mouth tweet what's going on. Oh yeah, tweet thumbs up and comment. You know what to do. Share away. But let me go see the Rumble. The Rumble. We're on Rumble. Nearly 2,000 watching on Rumble. Very, very nice. And no Rumble rants, but let's just get some of the chat. We love you. Let's go. The Weeds. Back to normal trading the way it was because no more unipolar world. Okay. It's literally us versus them. Chili Boo Revolution. Viva looking at the Rumbles from Clyde. And now someone put that in there. I don't know what exactly that says. Dude, it looks like Bucket List or Bo Mickey. Buddhist Mickey. I don't know. If you're watching on YouTube, Mickey. You're suspect. You're suspect. The Weeds. Okay, so let me see if I actually can't get people are working. Yes. Who would have thunk that this would have actually become? I call it work. I love it. When you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. My only stresses in the world is I want to be value added and not repetitive. So I'm going to see if I can get, ooh, that's not the call I was looking for. What number do I call? Okay. I cannot. Anyone in the chat, let's see if anyone in the chat can get the dial-in number for Pat King's hearing today. Let's see if we can do this in real time with the power of the interwebs, people. I'm going to Google this. I'm going to talk while I do it. I go, Pat King today, live hearing. And we see Pat King Convoy. Pat King Convoy. We're going to go to news. Pat King 2 weeks ago. It's going to be very tough to get this live dial-in. Oh, there we go. Pat King. Twitter. Glenn McGregor. Is this a new tweet? It says it's about to take place. That's February 22nd. That's not today.
Pat King. That's part of the Canadian.
Okay, people. I don't know if everybody wants to see me do this in real time. Let's see if we can get this done. I'm going to ask my brother. He should probably know. Do you know what the number is to call in for Pat King hearing? Question mark. Now I see a number in the chat. So when it has, everyone's just dialing random numbers. Viva Frei is way more fun than doing business taxes. I concur. I don't know many things, but I know that. Okay, that's not the number. This is not the number. No postal code. No area code is a surefire indication we are being trolled. Although, is that the number from the Squid Games? There was a whole funny thing about Squid Game. The telephone number in there with no area code was getting absolutely trolled. Elon may hate Trump. It's irrelevant. The basic fact of Trump back on Twitter makes him a considerable profit. They didn't put Trump back on Twitter yet, did I? I quit my job to watch. As your attorney, I highly recommend against doing that. At the very least, do it on the job until you get into trouble. I'm joking. 1-800-GRANNY-FRO is not that. Come on, people. Okay. So let me just go see while we're doing this on Twitter. I don't think it's going to be... okay, we're going to take 30 seconds to try to do it properly. Pat King hearing today. Okay, we're going to start slow. What's the date today? We're April, so it has to be April. And it has to be news. Pat King, maybe it's going to be bail hearing today. Okay. Zoom. See, it says that the Zoom was maxed the last time, which I presume. Oh, here we go. We got God, Reddit. Oh no. So Reddit, and there's a Reddit, and they say Pat King wondering if anyone has the Zoom link for information. This was 91% upvoted. Endless waste, and then there's advertising under it. So let's go to the comments on the Reddit. Man, view entire discussion. Okay, I do not see any call-in on Reddit, and for as much as I do not like that place, they are referring to a tweet from Glenn McGregor, and I can't find it. Okay, if I do happen to get the the link, I'll get it up. All right, people. What else? Anyone have any questions in the chat before I try to rude chat today? It doesn't matter. People are entitled to express themselves, even if they call me names. And I don't know. I haven't seen any really rude stuff in the chat today, but that you cannot express your own opinion and then expect others not to express theirs. Now, targeted harassment, threats of violence, and Russian sex bots. That's a no-go. Well, I asked Amber. Okay, well, let's just see if there's not. There's going to be another interesting thing to talk about while we wait. Let's go share screen. Chrome tab. My phone just shook. No, did you ask another individual? Let me see here. I'm going to ask another individual. Do you happen to know what the call-in number is today for Pat King hearing? Question mark. So we got the Pat King hearing in Ottawa. That's the Reddit subreddit. New environmental minister. Let's just go to Twitter for 1 second, because this is my running diary of life now. Ooh, I'm not in incognito. This is dangerous. Let's just get one story. That was Russell Brand we talked about. Don't care about Justin Bieber. The news cycle. You want to talk about this stuff? I mean, I just can't get over this. And this might break us into the consequences of the pandemic and the lockdowns. Jagmeet Singh, hold on, the phone is going to talk. I hate that phone. I'm going to get rid of that phone. Mental care is healthcare. This announcement by Andrew Horwath and her team, Horvath, I guess it's pronounced, and her team holds the power to save so many lives. This is coming from the individual. I'm not a bot troll or whatever they call them, what do they call the bots who live off someone else's Twitter feed? I do have to call out the idiotic hypocrisy when I see it. This is Jagmeet Singh, who now formed a holy alliance of evil with Justin Trudeau, who have been locking people down, and we're now seeing the outcome of the harms of the lockdowns, specifically on the young. And this guy is coming out now and saying mental health care is healthcare. I agree with you. So that means, by definition, that mental health abuse is health abuse. It's abuse. Abuse of which you are guilty, Jagmeet. And for those of you who don't know the latest stats on thoughts of self-harm on young people, let me let's just get the latest. I can't.
There's a little more to it than just that.
NCBI.
David?
No, that won't be it.
Monsieur David, aka
I want to get news. I don't want to
Viva
get
Frei.
studies. News. Who could? I'm going to pull it from the Jerusalem Post, but I saw it somewhere else. Who could have thunk that any of this could have ever possibly happened? Share screen, Chrome tab. COVID. Do we see this? No, I think I got to go like this. No, I got to go full screen. COVID-19, by the way, not COVID-19 government measures. COVID-19 drastically impacted mental health of teens and young adults. Various studies released over the last 2 years have indicated as such. Teens and young adults are among those hit the hardest by pandemic-related mental health issues. No. You whitewashing, misleading, fake news, Jerusalem Post this time. Not pandemic-related. Government-imposed restrictions related. It wasn't the pandemic that did it. But notice, maybe later.
Pandemic?
Throughout the past 2 years, the world has experienced immeasurable losses as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. No. Yes and no.
Okay, that's better.
But what we're talking about here, I'm going to venture out and say it's probably not related to the Rona itself, but what the government did to the young, the healthy, those who were statistically not at risk, and it was known long ago. To date, there have been 1 million recorded deaths, 500 million registered coronavirus cases overall. In addition to this, there is much that needs to be learned about the long-term impact of the virus, yada, yada, yada. Another long-term effect of the pandemic has been largely overlooked in its impact on mental health. Another long-term effect of the coronavirus pandemic. It's amazing how they just won't say what it is. That has been largely overlooked. No, by the way, it wasn't overlooked. It was actually denied. CBC came out with articles saying certain rates of self-harm have actually gone down during the pandemic. As if that's how you measure it, besides. But as if that was logical and consistent. Distress calls have gone up 200%. But somehow, this has actually been good on mental health, on certain types of self-harm. Various studies over the last 2 years have indicated, as such, teens and young adults are among those hit hardest by pandemic-related mental health issues. A new report by the CDC at the end of March worked to illuminate the mental health issues that teens are dealing with as a result of the pandemic. According to the data, 37% of all high school students in 2021 reported experiencing poor mental health as a result of the pandemic, and 44% stated they felt persistently sad or hopeless.
How are you going to get diagnosed?
Oh, I'm going to get angry throughout the last year. Gee, I wonder why. It's because of the pandemic. It's not because of the fact that they were kept home from school, isolated from their friends, isolated from their family, basically made to fear that they were vectors of infection, that they were going to kill Granny
Vectors thereof.
if they went to see them. They were branded as the scarlet letters of the vectors of communication to the most vulnerable people on earth who were getting ill.
Oh my!
And what did the government think was the proper response to this? Keep them home from school. Keep the kids who were being demonized and branded as the vectors of communication to the vulnerable. Keep them home with the vulnerable and with the elderly. I mean, let that sink in. And I'm happy to say our channel, if you've been watching from the beginning, Barnes was right. Barnes said, this response doesn't make any sense. You've got working parents who now have kids at home. What are they going to do? They're going to call Granny to come babysit. Prior to the pandemic, CDC data from 2019 showed that 36% of teens reported feeling persistent sadness or hopeless, showing a rise in the number of students struggling with mental health issues. Data from 2019. So they're trying to say, oh, this was ongoing beforehand. According to the CDC statistics, over 55% of youth stated that they had experienced emotional abuse by parents or other adults at home, experiencing events such as being sworn at, insulted, or demeaned. Anybody been watching the channel for long enough, you knew that we were talking about this. Spousal abuse, child abuse. You imagine people who are already living in abusive relationships were now being locked down with the perpetrators of that abuse. An additional 11% reported to have experienced physical abuse. Who could have seen that coming? Especially, what would exacerbate an already abusive individual? Put them out of work, lock them at home, take their job away. I mean, there's nothing that excuses physical abuse. There are things that are known to exacerbate already criminal abuse. Locking people in a home together, taking away their jobs. I mean, who could have seen this coming? But we were told that if you questioned any of this, you wanted Granny to die. Over a quarter of high school students reported that a parent or an adult in the home had lost their job as a result of the pandemic. Poor mental health was reported at a greater level among LGBTQ plus youth, many of whom faced emotional abuse at the hands of parent or caregiver. Oh, but now these are the same groups that the government is purporting to want to help. Sure, we're sorry about what we've done to you. Empower us to fix the problem that we caused. What could have been done to prevent the decline in mental health? According to the CDC findings, teens who felt connected to their teachers and peers from school were less likely to have suffered from declining mental health. Who would have thought that community, a sense of inclusion, a sense of involvement, a sense of purpose, freedom, who would have thought that these things are contributive to mental wellness? Who would have thought about it? I mean, not me. Who would have thought that locking kids down could be problematic? Isolating kids who might already have mental issues. Who would have thought that taking people out of their community, demonizing them to their community, making them feel like threats by their own existence could have done damage? Who would have thought?
Been doing it for
anybody watching this channel would have thought this, would have known this from the beginning. Well, 23. Okay.
And you're only realizing this now? Come on now.
The COVID-19 pandemic has created traumatic stressors that have the potential to further erode students' mental well-being. Our research shows that surrounding youth with the proper support can reverse these trends. And help.
The environment has
do
a
it
lot
now.
To do.
Remember, everybody, we talked about this. The government was shutting down AA meetings. The government was shutting down rehab sessions. The government was shutting down church, synagogue. That picture is bothering me. I'm going to close this up now. Oh yeah, no, trust us now. We're gonna solve the problem we created.
Sure.
Yeah. Pat King bail hearing is about to resume, but the Zoom call was max capacity, and the Justice of the Peace couldn't get on, so they shut it down for now. Well, isn't that convenient? Although the funny thing is, I read that Pat King himself didn't want it, was angry that people were live streaming it, which I'm sure he was. I can only imagine a few reasons why Pat King would not want it to be broadcast. Have I gone fishing lately? No. I did go for a dunk in the icy water yesterday, but no, the ice is not yet out. So it's in between being able to ice fish, which ice fishing on Lake Champlain is good, but not anywhere near as good as the spring fishing on Lake Champlain. So the ice is not yet out. Even when the ice goes out, the water needs to turn, so to speak. So before the fishing gets good. But this year, my goal is to go fishing and to catch a walleye, because I have caught only one walleye in my entire life. And it was by accident.
Is a pickerel,
when I
folks.
rented a dinghy on a road trip in Ontario, I forget where. Freedom is not just a beautiful thing. It's a necessary thing.
Bass.
There's a reason why animals in zoos, when they're in captivity, they engage, they revert to this repetitive behavior, walking in circles, constant nodding. If you've ever seen elephants do it, the more intelligent, and I say that without being a speciesist, the more intelligent the animal, the more you notice this behavior when their captivity is sufficiently restrained.
That's it. Yeah.
I went to the Bronx Zoo. It was either the Brooklyn Zoo or the Bronx Zoo, where there was a zebra in an enclosure, and the backdrop was like a crappy painting of the savannah, and that zebra was like just swaying its head.
Part of the perch family.
And
there you go.
It was depressing, but humans are no different. You lock people in houses, and you lock people in small apartments, and you take away their jobs, and then you think that you're doing them a favor by compensating them $2,000 a month, while simultaneously promoting online gambling. Check this out, people. This is going to be a meandering François Legault online gambling tweets. Let me see here. Let me see. I know that I commented on it at the time. Oh, we got. Doesn't matter. While they're locking people in their homes, the Quebec government is promoting online gambling. While they're
the Ontario government
shutting people out of rehab, out of AA, out of Gambling Anonymous, they're promoting online gambling, and the the Premier of Quebec telling people to go have a drink. People need to de-stress. So freedom is not just beautiful. It's essential for humans. It's what we are. Freedom. We are free, creative beings. And when you strip people of that, you crush them and you destroy them. And there's no question about it. And it was the pandemic. It was COVID that did it. It had nothing to do with the lockdowns. It had nothing to do with the face masks. It had nothing to do with the social isolation. It had nothing to do with destroying what were the pillars of society: religion, family, school. Had nothing to do with that. It was the pandemic. Now we can wash our hands of it, and we can pretend to be the solution to the problem that we cause.
So let's not go there.
Signed, the government. All right. Well, there's that. What else was there? Who's got some? Take some questions in the chat if anybody's got any. Let's see. You got to check out Pee Wee Tom's channel for anybody. It's the most depressing thing ever, but it's the most real life documenting the battle that he faced. Oh, so that's it. I don't think we're going to get on Pat King, but actually, let's just see. Hold on one second. If we can't find a live tweet, Pat King live tweet bail hearing. There was that reporter. Yeah, Glenn McGregor. Let's just see here. If I go to Glenn McGregor, see if he's got anything today.
See if we can pull it up.
32 seconds ago. Here we go. People, this might be fun. This might be fun. I wish I could get in, but hold on. Before there, I see a 514, so I have to actually get to him. Oh, look up the Arthur. Oh, so Arthur Pavlovsky, Rebel News covered it. I didn't yet see their coverage. I just saw the story in my email. I have the Zoom link. Deuce Go Tech. Put it in there. I'm going to be looking for it, and I'll see if I can get in. Yeah, go check out Rebel News. It's okay. Deuce Go Tech. How do we do this? I'm looking out for Deuce Go Tech LX. But I saw a 514. Here we go. I joined very late. Did you discuss Arthur Pavlovsky? Yes. Was it the first thing we discussed? I think it was. Or so. What is the news? He's released on bail. He was released on bail, and the terms of the release are egregious. Okay, let me just see here. I'm looking for Deuce. What the deuce?
What the deuce?
Did they actually have a warrant to arrest Tamara Licht? I don't think she was in the act of counseling when she was arrested. No. I don't think she was in the process of doing it when she was arrested, but they do their investigation, they get their charges issued, and then they get a warrant. And the warrant was based on statements she made. I believe Hold the Line was one of them. So yeah, no, they had the warrant. I don't think the arrest was unlawful. I mean, I don't think the arrest was unlawful procedurally. I just think substantively it was over the top. David, thank you for being a part of this great movement. Watching, reliving it again from live from the shed. Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna pretend that watching that video made me feel good, because it didn't. It made me feel very sad, and it made me feel like it was the government did what they wanted. They suffocated out
overreach
what I felt to be the last chance for freedom in this country. I hope I'm wrong.
No, it's not overreach.
Viva made me think I was watching Ancient Aliens. Okay, now here we go. Bas Studios, or Baz Studios. Pierre Poilievre saw him 2 days ago. His speech was almost 100% Bernier's, so much so he even closed with the same Diefenbaker quote. Thoughts on PP? I don't mind Pierre Poilievre as a politician. I commended him when he was grilling Justin Trudeau. I don't mind Roman Baber as a politician. I commended him when he was very vocal in his opposition to what I believe were unconstitutional and unscientific COVID responses. I will not support either of them for leadership. I might support one of them for leadership of the Conservative Party, but I'm not voting Conservative. They have to do more than empty talk promises. They actually have to do something to earn the vote, not promise to earn the vote and then expect you to operate on trust, which they have violated. They have violated it because Pierre Poilievre was part of the party when Aaron O'Toole was as liberal as the Liberals. He didn't speak out about it against the party leader. He didn't condemn O'Toole for being liberal 2.0. And I don't mean liberal in terms of policy. I mean just supporting stupid liberal policies. They supported vaccine passports. The party should suffer the consequences as a result. And if Pierre Poilievre comes in and says, the first thing we're going to do, if elected, is ratify the Constitution so that there's a caveat, there's a clarification that the government cannot take away your rights, but in the absence of the most compelling, I don't know, do that, and then I'll think about, and I'll see what you do. I'm not becoming a disloyal turncoat based on promises. You might earn it based on action. You're not going to earn it based on promises. So what do I think of him? I think he was better before he started running for leadership of the party. He's starting to look, and his Twitter feed is starting to look a little bit too generically and cliched politician. Roman Baber, I think, was more ballsy in his political positions. So between the two of them taking leadership for the CPC,
yeah, I'm not familiar with
I would tend to think that Roman Baber might be more
Maxime Bernier,
might be able to change more. But they're both decent candidates for leadership, but don't expect me to vote Conservative or suggest anyone else vote Conservative. And I still don't tell anybody how to vote, period. I don't even tell people to vote for the PPC when I was running. I just take for granted, if you're listening, you will. Okay, so let me see here. Hold on. So I was going to go share, and let's just see what the live latest update is with Glenn McGregor, who is, let me see here if we can see this. Napoleon. Okay, listen. Yes. Glenn McGregor, CTV, National News. Oh, CTV. Oh, them. Yeah. All right, whatever. Let's just see here. So let's just get the update. 16 minutes ago, 31 minutes. So let's just go here. Ottawa protest Pat King and George Billings are expected in court at 1:30 today. This will not be a full bail review hearing, likely just more coordinating and scheduling. So they're going to go back to jail. Okay. I'll live tweet details unless there is a publication ban imposed. What is this? Okay, so then we got this from whatever this is. Okay. We'll go ahead and close you. So let's just see then what happened. That was 13 hours ago. Originally charged separately with mischief, King and Billings are now jointly charged with... Oh, that's right. They found new charges against all of them. Tamara Litch, Pat King. Who's the other one? Chris Barber. They found charges against Randy Hillier, not new ones. They found more charges. Originally charged separately with mischief, King and Billings are now jointly charged with various criminal code offenses, including obstructing a peace officer and counseling intimidation. Okay, so here he says 6 minutes ago, at last report, King was residing in the Ottawa Detention Center. And apparently these are very bad places. I mean, they're unpleasant. People think Canada's a nice, vacation, even for jails. Apparently this jail is not a pleasant place to be. So what's going on? There was a publication ban on the previous information. Information is the criminal complaint laid against Billings that have been withdrawn. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're getting any meaningful news here. Okay, remand back in court. And we got that one. And Kinte connects. Tyson George Billings. Jake Shotty represents. There's a publication ban on this. Can't report the details. Democracy dies in darkness. I don't know who asked for the publication ban. So if the defense asked for it, if the defense asked for the publication ban, then you got to respect the defense's wishes. They're the ones who are more. I mean, I'm not even sure. This is a criminal matter. It should be public. So JB24 keep telling Viva. What does that mean? Yeah, what the heck is counseling intimidation? What is counseling and what is intimidation? And put those two together, what on earth qualifies as counseling intimidation? All that I know is that no one can ever accuse me of counseling intimidation, because I specifically always tell people, do not break the law, period. Even though that upsets people. Don't do it. Don't tell people to do it. If you want to do it, my goodness, your life is your own to take whatever risks you want to take with. But I'm curious to know how counseling intimidation materializes. What are the underlying facts of that accusation? Love to see it. I did just see a new member. Cobes, welcome to the channel. Let's see it. Outrageous that they are still in jail. Clear political prisoners. JB24. I made the tribute video. Although I appreciate the shed sharing it, I would appreciate you post the link to the original. Thank you. 1,000%. I did not know that, JB24. So hold on. JB24, can you post the link in the comment and I will go and tweet it? I had no idea. So JB24, I'm looking for it now. I'm going to go to the live stream of this so that I can see it. And when it comes in, sound advice from Viva: don't break the law. Stop breaking the law. No, it's like everybody's a hero behind their computer screen. Yeah, you should go and get arrested if you really believe in it. Blah, blah. You do what you want with your own life at your own risk and quiet you. I don't want to hear the commercial. I'm looking for it. 24, please post the link and I'm going to find it because I didn't get the original link. You want to take a chance with your own life? That's for you to do. Now, hold on one second. Someone said, Viva, the look on your face, is this going to be a good one or a bad one? When you realized you may have won your riding, but I wonder what your face would have looked like when your naivete realizes you had a snowball's chance at Deputy PM. I can tell you exactly when it occurred. It occurred on the roof of my house when we were watching the results come in. And I was like, my goodness, I never had a chance, did I? There was never a chance. Viva, my most recent super chat. Let me see if I can find it. Look, it's not to say that it's not all that. I can't go back to the super chats. Someone post a link in the bottom, for goodness sake. It was called JB24. Hold on. JB24 tributes. Let me see if I can find it myself within 30 seconds. No, I can't because I'm not on YouTube when I'm doing that. JB24 tributes. What's it? It's not this one. Maybe it is this one. JB24. Yes, this. Okay. Here. Boom shakalaka. And my apologies. I shall put this here now. I shall hit. Stop it. Stop it. I don't want the music. And I'm going to go right now. My goodness. Okay, there we go. And replace pinned message with this. Okay, done. Sorry about that. And thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. I remember when it was. I was on the roof and I was like, holy cows, I'm an idiot. That's like 5th time this chat. No chance. No chance because people don't even know what's going on in the news. Imagine people in New York City in 2020 during the presidential election did not know about Hunter Biden's laptop. And they didn't know about Hunter Biden's laptop. And we're going to expect anybody in my riding to make what I think would be the proper educated decision based on, oh my goodness, based on policy. I had one person when I was hanging up my posters, clearly purple posters, clearly not red liberal posters, say, you're running with the Liberal Party. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm running with the PPC. And they said, well, I'm voting Liberal anyhow. Didn't even know the colors of the party they knew they were voting for, but everybody out there, I mean, it's the greatest branding of all time. If you vote for Liberal, even if the leader's acting like a total tyrant, a total dictator, you get to call yourself liberal. I am liberal. I just believe that I own your body. I own your children's body. I get to tell you when you can work, where you can go, who you can see, what you can read, what you can say. But I'm liberal because I'm called liberal. Billings will be back in court on April 19, 1:30 via Zoom. Wow. Now let me just say this. I don't care who you are. If I see you without a mask indoors when infections are rampant and there are many still at risk, I will see you as an ignorant of science, narcissistic, and uncaring of the vulnerable around you. I will truly see you unmasked for what you are. Can you imagine someone who says in one tweet, I don't care who you are. If I see you without a mask, I will see you as an ignorant, uncaring narcissist. I will see an individual accusing someone else of narcissism uses the word I 4 times in one tweet to tell the world what he thinks of other people. Okay, sorry, got distracted.
Oh,
so packing Billings is back. Wait, what's the date? 2 weeks. What's another 2 weeks of a man's life?
They keep bringing up friggin' Biden's laptop, which is a smoking gun.
Okay, we already read that. So that's
nowhere.
it. What's another 2 weeks?
Just friggin'
that'll learn them. That'll learn you.
Set up just to divert.
And now Pat King is up from the Ontario Corrections.
Nero,
Cal Rosemont is off the case.
Emperor,
Kings has
Donald
new
Trump.
lawyers, David Goodman and Nicole Charis, who are not in court. Crown says Goodman is on only for bail review in 2 weeks. So it looks like they're back. King's bail review is set. Oh my good God. Set for April 13 and April 14. King says he's currently shopping for lawyers. Whatever the outcome, King's case will be back before the court April 19th, 1:30 p.m. And that's the end of the convoy-related criminal justice today. Criminal justice, or some might say criminal injustice. This 2 more weeks in jail. February 18th. It's going to be February to March to April. 2 months in jail. They didn't even give them the opportunity to be released on bail terms that they would violate to warrant a rearrest and redetention. Shouldn't McCluskey file trespassing charges? He demanded they leave and they didn't. Is this McCluskey like the Georgia guy, the McCluskeys? I don't think they were on his physical property. They were on a private road. Have to see what the bylaws are with respect to that. But good luck charging people with trespass, for goodness sake. I mean, he got the book thrown at him for brandishing a firearm, one of which was inoperable, but was rendered operable specifically so they could press charges against Madam McCluskey. Oh, here we go. I got it. I got the call in, but it looks like it's over. Yeah, anyways, it's over. So nothing to see there except my ugly face without glasses. You'll be in the wrong courtroom at first. You might need to speak up and say, I've been placed in the wrong. Okay, whatever. It's over. So back on the 19th. What's another 2 weeks? I think the hearing was continued until April 19, at least according to the CTV reporter. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, it's just 2 months pretrial detention for nonviolent crimes, but it was mischief, and it was obstructing a police officer. Accusations, by the way, and even if it were a violent crime, they're still innocent. legally speaking. Pretrial detention is not supposed to be pre-conviction punishment. Write that one down. That one's a good one. Trump's comeback tweet will be the biggest of all time. Leftist head will explode around the world. It might even shift the Earth's orbit.
The return of Nero, get lost.
Unclear,
What is this
check
fixation with Trump? The guy
that
was only
CTV
out for
reporter
himself.
Twitter
He didn't
feed
care about anybody else.
period.
What is
He
it with
had
this guy Trump that
the
people
information of the new lawyer.
think
No,
he's,
not the
he's
new
a
lawyer.
good guy. He's not a good guy. He may be
Of
at
the
some time in the
old
future, but
New.
he's only out for himself. He did
Apparently, they
nothing
are
to
lawyer
help the
shopping.
USA
Period. And
or
not
the
they,
world.
he is.
He was just out
Okay,
for
so that's it.
himself.
Nobody wants to see me dictate tweets. Yeah, so that's it.
Just
Is
Nero
Trump coming back? I mean, that's the
all
question.
Donald J. Trump
Oh,
was.
the Kofefe, yeah. So
And if
let's
you
just see what was going
go
on in the
back
chat here.
history, you know what Nero did to
Here
people.
in Sweden, we never had masks. Trudeau caused a massive mental break on Canadians. And you know what the argument to that was, by the way? Grazie, Henke. Thank you. Do you know what the argument to that was? Well, while Sweden did better than America for certain, and Canada, they did worse compared to their, what's the word of those countries? Not Scandinavian, I guess Scandinavian. They did worse compared to their neighbors, Denmark and blanking.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
buy
show off
into
that I know
it.
geography. They did worse than their neighboring countries. So they were worse than their neighboring countries
Mandates are
because
not
they didn't
right,
do what
no
the
doubt
neighboring
about
countries
it.
did,
There's more
what
to
Denmark
it
did.
than
But they were
just
better
what
than
meets
America,
the
which,
eye. And how it
do you
was done
remember at the
wasn't
beginning of the pandemic
proper either,
how
no
people
doubt
were
about it.
dumping on
it could have been a
Sweden,
lot
saying,
worse.
it's going to be cataclysmic in Sweden. They had the outbreaks in the long-term healthcare facilities, as did Canada. I mean, that's where 70 to 80% of the deaths came from. But people were waiting with bated breath for Sweden to fall. The same way they were waiting for bated breath for Texas and Florida to fall. And when they don't, the moving goalposts of dishonest discourse. Well, Florida and
Just
Texas aren't
people
doing as well
died,
as
that's all.
Pennsylvania and Michigan, which is wrong besides. But that's it. Well, they're not doing as well as other people who absolutely sacrificed and destroyed everything to do it. Oh, but now we're seeing the outcome and the consequences in the most vulnerable segment of society, children. And now we're seeing it. But we're seeing it now. We didn't see it at the time. So crush people's mental health, and it'll take a little while to show up because, that's just the nature of mental issues. At the time, look our lockdowns and our face masks and our social isolations, our infection rates, they're decreased this much compared to countries that or states that didn't do it. And then 2 years later, I'd like to see comparisons between children's mental wellness in Florida and Texas and Sweden compared to other states and countries. I'd like to see that comparison. And at this point, I'm well prepared to take the hard position that what was done was foreseeable and implementing policy that is going to cause foreseeable harm to the most vulnerable segments of society.
Hey, what
There's
if
a
it
word
was
for
done
that.
by the handlers on purpose to create that
Okay.
situation? What about that? Nobody's talking about that.
All right, people, I think that's, oh my God, it's 2 hours already. Okay, we are
That's
going to
it.
call it quits. Let's just see if we got
Okay.
anything on the rumbles. I'm going to go exercise, maybe go for a bike ride, depending on, I got a new mountain bike and I want to use it, but
Oh my! And it's too
the
early.
government
to go
ruins
fishing.
everything. You can't bike on
Blame
the
it
trails
on
in
the
Mount Royal
government.
because
Why not?
you can't do it. It's too muddy on certain paths anyhow.
So there's a
And
liability issue.
I go biking and then you don't feel like you're getting that full body workout that you get when you jog. And anyhow, that's it. But I'm going to go exercise at some point today to get that nervous energy out, to strengthen the heart,
Clear the mind.
and to
Settle
be
the
healthy.
mind.
Viva, U.S. study by major universities showed there was no statistical differences. I'm not going to read the end of that sentence because I'm not giving medical or legal advice. I've read that study. I read that there was a marginal difference, like in the order of 2%, which is, I guess, within any margin of error, regardless. Yeah, no, I read it. It's who would have known? Who could have known? Who could have known when you look at Australia and New Zealand and their spike in Omicron? Hold on. It's worth it. It's worth it, people. Google Omicron cases, New Zealand. Graph. I'm going to see if I can find. Is this going to be it? Oh, see, I wish one day I'll get a producer who can read my mind.
Good luck with
It
that,
needs to be
pal.
a graph. Oh, there we go, people.
Oh no.
Let's just see.
Oh no.
New
What
Zealand
we're gonna see.
in particular. Just you don't even, if this is what a pump and, well, this is not even a pump and dump, but look at this. I mean, here, look at that. Yeah. Although, and they're gonna say, well, they kept it low all the way over here. Unbelievable. Some might even say that a virus is going to do what a virus does, and the way to combat that, and I'm just relatively proud to say that I've been saying it since about August 2020 or maybe earlier, is you protect the vulnerable and you let the others who are not vulnerable or willing to live with the risk carry on their lives as humans, as free citizens, and as the engine that is required to continue propelling this ship that is a nation. You know, you let the battles are fought by the able-bodied who can fight them. In as much as this is, you know, it applies by analogy, mutatis
How many
mutandis.
degrees of
The
separation
non-vulnerable,
are we talking
above
here
and
now?
beyond, I won't venture out of my field of expertise, you know, above and beyond the idea of herd immunity, you know, ultimately needing to, you know, get exposed. Just to quote Dr. Fauci, I won't, but we heard what he said at the beginning of one of my streams. Those who are not vulnerable to serious risk, work, live your lives, support the engine of the country that needs you to work, to earn money so that you can pay taxes, so the government can maintain the infrastructure that is needed to treat the vulnerable, to protect the vulnerable. But no, you can have all sorts of thoughts as to why they did it the way they did it. You destroyed everything. I guess, you know, you could build back better after that. Boom, shish. All right, that's it. This week is going to be good. Right now, I believe Brian Peckford is going to be on at some point this week. I don't know when. I'm going to go try to organize that. Wednesday night, we have a great stream. There might be another amazing doctor, which we might also have to do exclusively on the Rumbles.
Well,
because I don't want
we'll
to
see. I will
run
not,
afoul of what I know are rules with which I
may
disagree, but
restream
they
it,
are
we'll see.
abusive
Depends what
rules
we're doing
nonetheless. Roly Polioli on Rumble says, I was always told, let the Rona run its course. We're not doctors. And even when epidemiologists say that, they're not the right ones. And when other doctors say it, they're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. They're quacks. When Malone says it, he's a quack. When when an oncologist says it, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not an epidemiologist. When an epidemiologist says it, discredit them. See, the only one you can listen to is someone who's fought a losing 30-year battle against AIDS. That's the only one you can listen to. Canada is 112th place, Sweden in 55th, Denmark in 5th for overall cases per million population. But I don't care about the cases. I care about the hospitalizations and deaths. Are we the virus that government is vaccinating against? Well, they're not. They're free speech is definitely the solution to. It's definitely, if not the solution, at the very least, the spotlight to a great many problems. So
Freedoms
that's it.
are very, very
Oh,
important.
hold on 1 second. Please have Jeremy McKenzie of Nova Scotia. Please have Jeremy McKenzie on. Nova Scotia is. Oh, I know Nova. The maritime bubbles were outrageous. All right, so that's it, people. We will. I guess we're going to do this tomorrow again. I'll find what to talk about. Maybe there'll be more interesting news. So all that to say, anybody who wants to timestamp this, I'll pin that comment to the top, and that's it. We'll see what Elon Musk does now with his newfound.
So what do you think, folks? You know, there's some interesting things brought up today. I do not always agree. I'd really like to have a one-on-one live with Viva Frei and this Burns, the lawyer, and to discuss this pandemic and Canadian truckers, Trump, insurrection, and a few other topics. Well, I'd have to keep it just to a few because it could go on for a long, long time if we make it too broad. But the insurrection, that would be a good one to talk about. So anyways, what do you guys think? What do you people think? Post in chat. Now, I do have to add that the Canadian trucker situation or protests, they were peaceful. The government definitely created a position of overreach on their part, which was not right. They overexerted themselves, oppressed and suppressed in a manner that denied the average citizen their freedoms, which is not a good thing. And they really don't understand why and how they did that. And this, doing the court and doing these things, is not a good solution whatsoever. It's just brutal of them. They're just taking advantage of people that do not have the resources, that are just looking out for their rights and freedoms, which they have the right and freedom to exercise, providing they're not providing, exerting harm on other people, which they were not. And so it's sad. And it really had to do with Trudeau not meeting with the leaders of, or a representative of his. It could be an intermediary, meet with the truckers and discuss it. It could have been sorted out very, very easy. But it was not done, and it's a really sad state of affairs that these people that organize this, that have to deal with court, truckers have to deal with all these other extra fees, which is not necessary. We just went through a pandemic, difficult time for everybody, and this is just nonsensical. So get rid of them, put some other government or another political party in position. Is that the answer? To be honest with you, I really think a conservative government would probably not, nor an NDP government would probably not, have done as well as the Liberal Party did overall. Are they perfect? Far from it. Did they overreach as far as freedoms and liberties to the Canadian trucker convoy? Abso-friggin-lutely. But we have to get together as people, not just truckers, everybody, and create a new platform of political party of integrity that's going to change the landscape and the way we've done things from this point on forward. Totally revolutionize politics. That's what we need to do, but the people need to do it together and in a loving, peaceful manner. Questions, comments, post below. Take care, folks. Till the next time, Michael J. Talk to you soon. That was Michael J. Live. Take care. Stay safe. Love and peace to everyone. Love, peace, and joy. Take care, folks. Love and peace to everyone.